Hello and welcome to our podcast, Life in Law, hosted by Acon Recruitment in connection with the Swansea Junior Lawyer Division. I am Michael Ives, Legal Recruitment Specialist, and today we have a very special guest. We have the Vice President of the Swansea JLD, Geraint Fry, joining us. Geraint is an up-and-coming trainee solicitor with Goma Williams and dealing with family law matters. Thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. How are you?
All good, thank you very much. I was just hoping to kick things off by finding out more about how you got to the trainee solicitor stage, really. So where did it all begin?
So I did my degree. I actually did a law and history degree in Swansea. So it's a full qualifying law degree, but obviously I had to do a certain element of law-related history as well. So I did a load of medieval law modules and stuff like that. Because history, I've always been interested in history, and at that time I didn't know which way I wanted to go, whether I wanted to go down law or history. But yeah, that's where I did my degree. Then I did my LPC then on a part-time basis, whilst I worked with Goma Williams as a paralegal with Swansea University. And that finished last year, and I started my training contract then with Goma Williams in January of this year.
How did you find juggling a paralegal job and an LPC? That sounds like an awful lot.
It was difficult, yeah. Just because it was a lot of work. LPC is a lot of work as well, and it was a lot of late nights at the library. Often I'd come home from work and go straight to the library. But it was worth it because I had the experience there, and by the time I finished the LPC, I was done. I could start the training contract.
A lot of people I speak to struggle with the funding of the LPC. How did you go about funding it? Did your employers help you out?
It was funded myself, but of course, family helped me out a bit, and the job helped me out a bit because when I was working alongside it, of course there was I do police station representation as well. Wow. So the overtime from that contributed towards it as well.
So obviously, as a paralegal, you dealt with family law. So what's an average day of a family law paralegal?
Paralegal and family law. It's busy. No case in family law is the same. So you'll have, you can have a fairly straightforward divorce, or you can go to the more complex divorces with disputing grounds for divorce. You can have the finances. Then you can have a straightforward finance where it's just a clean break order and you put it to court, or you can have a particularly messy situation where you have to go to court and contest all these separate issues. So it's very unique to the case, and it's the same with children law, I find as well.
Yeah. So what do you do more, sort of divorce or sort of children law?
It's a bit of both. I'd say before this lockdown period of COVID-19, I would say I was mostly divorced, but recently I've seen a spike in my children act work as well.
Do you think that's due to COVID, or?
I think so. Yeah. I think initially that people were, sort of accepting the lockdown provisions, but now, as we're sort of unlocking as time has gone on, people want answers, and it's spiked a bit recently.
And I think a lot of people listening to this might be sort of wondering where they want to practice in. So, a family law, I suppose you've got to be quite sort of compassionate and empathetic with individuals. Do you think is it quite tough to deal with that with these very difficult situations?
Yeah, it is difficult because it's so sensitive then to the clients. People. It's their day-to-day lives, isn't it? It's their children. It's in divorce, it's their assets, and people obviously want to protect what's dear to them, particularly when it comes to children. So you've got to be compassionate there, but also you've got to manage your client's expectations to say maybe if a lot I've seen recently is people are moving away. So, you've got to manage expectations. The child has to live with someone. You can't expect the child to go back and forth. So it's just managing that contact, that reasonable contact.
And do you find yourself getting quite emotionally invested in these cases, or do you manage to compartmentalise yourself quite well?
You can't help it not to. Obviously, if you deal with someone that's so passionate, you obviously want to do your best for them. So you can't help but not get invested in some of these cases.
And just in regards to your training contract, so can you talk me through how you sort of secured that training contract, and sort of any tips to law students who are, or paralegals looking for help in that situation? Because obviously you were there for, was it 2 to 3 years you were at Geraint Williams before you secured it?
Yeah, I was here with Geraint Williams for 3 years before I started my training course. So I started with Geraint Williams before, whilst I was in the last year of my degree.
Yeah.
But before that, in the last year of my degree, I decided it was the law route I definitely wanted to go down. So I just started doing a lot of work experience with a couple of firms in Port Talbot, and one gave me a job. It was Cameron Jones Hustle and How in is dealing with lasting powers of attorney and stuff like that. And it was from there really that I then, with Cameron Jones Hustle and How, they made it clear that there was no room for progression there at that time. So I just went for more work experience. I wanted to see what crime was like in particular at the time. And I came to Geraint Williams. And as I came to Geraint Williams, a job came up in their family department as a paralegal. So I took that, and they said there is room for progression, and that's how I got into this job.
So did you have to make a formal application for the training contract, or did they just say to you, you've been here for 3 years, you've done really well, and here's a training contract?
I was told that as long as I did well, as long as I continue to progress, that there would be a training contract at some point. Okay. I was told it'll have to be up after my legal practice course had finished. Yeah. But they were quite understanding in the fact that I had the legal practice course. I worked in Gomez 4 days a week, and then I went to university then for that day, which was usually a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Okay, and on your training contract now, is it just family you deal with, or do you do like the traditional 4 seats? Or
at the moment, because I'm 6 months in. I'm in family, and I do the police stations and stuff like that in criminal law as well. Okay. But to be honest, during this COVID-19 outbreak, I've sort of remained in family. But that remains to be seen, I think.
Do you think there's a chance you'll move to a different area?
I would like to, I would like a career in family law. I've done it, for this long now. I enjoy it. It's, I enjoy the contentious element of it, and I would like to, stick in this area of law, really.
That's interesting, actually, because it reminds me of the first podcast we recorded with Mark. And Mark is a lawyer with various different experiences across multiple areas of law. And we had a debate of whether that kind of hinders him, because maybe people will see him, or law firms might see him as almost a jack of all trades, despite him having sort of very strong experience in a multitude of areas of law, versus having that sort of speciality of being in one area. Do you ever worry that you might ultimately be pigeonholed?
I don't think so. No, because if you learn. If in family, for example, you're learning the, it's civil procedure, so you're learning that. I have done, as I mentioned earlier, I've done other areas of law, such as the civil litigation and lasting powers of attorney in the past. So I'd certainly advise going for, getting experience in all of them before you decide to, narrow your expertise into one field. Yeah. Which is what I've done. I really enjoyed family, so I've sort of said I really want to go down this route.
Excellent. Yeah. And in regards to your sort of position with the JLD, so obviously you started there. What you did, was it charities officer? I think I read you did. Or?
I was fundraising officer and sports officer. And I did that for about 3 years as well.
How did you get involved with JLD?
So I got involved with JLD when I joined my previous firm, which I mentioned, which is Cameron Jones Hustle and How. The then president was also in that firm, and her name was Kathy Jenkins, and she sort of roped me into it, and said it was very much the rebirth of the JLD, because we wanted to relaunch Swansea District JLD, and she said, look, we're having a committee meeting, and I was keen to obviously get involved in as many law societies, law-orientated organisations at the time. So I applied. Well, I ran for the sports officer. So
okay.
It was good. But I did that I enjoyed that role. I did it for 3 or 4 years. But then obviously the opportunity to go for vice president came up October last year. So I thought I'd go for that. And I was lucky enough to come up with it.
So what is it that you kind of do as vice president?
It's very much the organisation of it. I still do a lot. I because of my links, which I formed in my previous role, I still do a lot of promoting charities, helping the fundraising officer, stuff like that. Very much supporting our president, Stacey, and it's just organising events. Like I'm sure you remember, I was liaising with you in regards to our CV workshop, which was sadly postponed due to the COVID-19 outbreak. But it's very much the running of it.
Well, when do you think you'll be able to get your next event? I think Stacey said September, October.
I think so. Yeah, it's simply when we're allowed. Obviously, there's a couple of events which we had planned, which has had to be postponed. There was that we were going to, and about July time, we usually do our big charity fundraiser. So there's that as well. So as soon as the government allows us, we're looking to, and it's safe to do so, of course, we're looking to go back to it.
And what are the sort of benefits of joining an organisation like the JLD?
There's a lot of benefit to it. Of course, it's something to put on your CV, but you get to talk to many junior lawyers as well. You get to, if you go to their meetings, often new students attend just to see what we're about, and they'll get advice in how to approach this area of law, or they'll learn how other people, more senior members have gotten their training contracts. So it's invaluable to them, really. And we attend events like the Swansea Law Society's summer supper and stuff like that. So it's opportunities like that where we get to go and meet with solicitors firms and barristers firms, etc.
Excellent. It's funny, I spoke with with Katie Terry a couple of weeks ago, and she was telling me how she made so many good connections from the Swansea JLD, and I think it led to her getting a paralegal job, actually. So it's
right. Well,
it
happens. And certainly it was invaluable to me, because I could put the president down as a reference on my CV, and I can put my time down with as the fundraising officer, and if it came to it now, as vice president as well on my CV, which is impressive to employers.
Definitely, it shows you definitely care about the industry and kind of where it's going in the future, which is obviously a very good thing to have on your CV.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Brilliant. I think that's a great place to leave things this week. Thank you, Geraint, for coming on the podcast. It's been really interesting to learn about Geraint's career in family law and how he got to where he is today, and the benefits of joining organisations such as the Junior Lawyers Division in Swansea. We'll be back soon with more content. Take care and thanks for listening.